It's a strange type of discomfort that you feel when your business needs you to operate in a way that you haven't grown into. And it's uncomfortable for two reasons. Firstly, because of the normal discomfort that shows up with the unfamiliarity of doing things that you haven't had to do before, something that's regularly a feature of growing a business. And secondly, because you probably misdiagnose the reason for the discomfort and make it something about you and your abilities, which it's not. This video is to help you recognize if that's what you've been doing so that you stop and ultimately have a better experience of your business so that you can grow it like you want to instead of wondering whether or not you should give up or accept that your big dream is out of reach. We don't want that. Here's what I mean. Maybe the sort of decision that used to take you an afternoon now takes you a week and you don't know why. Maybe you hit a goal that you've been working towards, and instead of the relief that you expected, there's a flicker of something closer to dread. Or maybe you notice yourself hesitating on making a call that your logical mind feels should be easy, but you actually feel stumped. None of that means that you don't know what you're doing. It means that you're in the business territory that needs you to think differently than you're used to, which is actually a good thing because it means your business has progressed to the point that makes the gap obvious in a way that it isn't when you're just starting out. Hi there, I'm Linden. This channel is about entrepreneurial leadership for women in online business and what actually closes the gap between where a business is heading and how you feel about that. So let's get into it. So here's the thing. Growing a business is active and it's visible, and there are metrics for it. Audience growth, sales conversions, there's evidence of it. You can point to it. Growing into the owner that a business needs isn't like that. So the two things, business growth and business owner growth, tend to happen at different speeds. And when the business moves ahead of the leadership underneath it, that gap has to show up somewhere. And most of the time it shows up in one of two places. And both of them can look like productivity from the outside, which makes them just really easy to miss. And the first is the strategy trap. A decision starts to feel harder than it should. And instead of just noticing that as information, you look for a new framework or a new plan or take another course, not because you actually need more strategy, but because more strategy feels like something positive to do in the hope of moving forward. And the second, instead of, or perhaps as a follow on from the first, is strategic overwork. You do more, you try harder, you add another approach on top of the ones that you are already doing because it feels better than sitting with the discomfort of not quite knowing how to hold what's in front of you. Both of these situations can look and feel from the outside and often from the inside too, like a business owner who's driven and doing the work. But neither one actually closes the gap that we were talking about because the gap isn't a strategy gap, it's a capacity gap. And it doesn't close through doing more, it closes through building a stronger relationship to your own judgment, decision-making, and self-trust. In other words, entrepreneurial leadership skills, so that the decisions in front of you stop feeling unmakeable and start feeling like just a normal part of the job. The business owner who's closed that gap doesn't necessarily have an easier business. We all still make decisions that are genuinely hard and feel genuinely uncertain at times, but we meet them through accessing our own authority, not as an earlier version of ourselves trying to keep up. You don't reach for another course or a fifth opinion or try to borrow judgment that you already have, but just don't trust enough to exercise. Instead, you just exercise your own judgment. So the key shift that I would leave you with is this. Business ownership requires personal skills that we're either not used to using or not used to using in a way entrepreneurship demands differently from other ways of working. And the gap that feels uncomfortable and makes you wonder if you're up to business and makes you search for something that you must be missing on repeat is closed by entrepreneurial leadership development, not by trying harder or giving a new strategy or tactic a shot in the hope that it's the one thing that makes everything fall into place. Because as tempting as it is to think that one thing exists and we just need to find it, in my experience, does not. So something to sit with this week. Where in your business right now are you leading from an earlier version of yourself, one who doesn't yet trust the knowledge and judgment that you actually have now? And what would it look like to trust that more experienced version instead? Next week, we are going to talk about what it looks like when intuition and strategic thinking stop competing and start working together. But meantime, if you want a structured place to begin your entrepreneurial leadership work so that you can build your internal authority deliberately, recalibrate your 30-day practice in confident decision-making is where I would point you to. I created it for women who know their business and know that more strategy isn't what they need right now. And you'll find the link in the description. If you find my videos a useful way of thinking about your business, subscribing means the next one's more likely to show up in your feed, so you won't miss it. And I'd love to see you there. And a like on your way out the door helps my channel and helps other business owners find this video too. And please, of course, leave me any comments or questions that you have. Speak soon. Bye for now.